Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany Flemo and I'm an agency training lead here at Google. I want to thank you guys for joining me for the second installment of the YouTube Hangout on Air training series. Today we'll spend the next 30 minutes discussing how you can help your clients achieve the specific marketing objective of reaching their target audience on the YouTube platform. I'm really excited to share with you guys a guest speaker that we have today, David Chinichi. He is a Senior Partner Group Marketing Director at Mindshare, and I really want you to welcome him. Dave, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Mindshare.
Sure. I have been with Mindshare for about 5 years. About 4 years ago, I moved down to the Atlanta market to work on the U.S. Marine Corps account. Shortly thereafter, I took over as the client lead and have been helping them with the recruitment advertising campaign for the last 4 years now. Our target market is men 18 to 24, men 18 to 29 for the officer rank. So it's a fun account to work on, but they're also on the leading edge. So we have to make sure that we stay ahead of everything that our consumer is doing. I also manage a couple other accounts, BBVA Compass in the U.S., BBVA globally, and Armed Forces Insurance.
Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate you guys sharing and you participating in today's session. So before we get things kicked off, I want to cover a little bit of housekeeping items. First, I want to remind everyone that today's session will be recorded. We will be able to share with you guys a link of the recording as well as a copy of the deck and any additional materials as long as you do something that's very important to us, and that's providing us with a feedback via a survey that we send out at the end of today's session. Lastly, I want to encourage you guys to ask questions and participate, given that we have such a great guest speaker today. In order to ask questions, please make sure you've clicked yes, you are attending, and you should see underneath the video player where these slides are showing now a box that says say something. And please add your questions or comments there. So now we're going to talk about our objectives for today. So by the end of today's session, you should be able to explain how the U.S. Marines were able to reach their target audience on the YouTube platform and also articulate the different audience breakdown and different targeting strategies available on YouTube. So let's look at that in greater detail more specifically. So we'll start the session speaking with Dave Chinichi of Mindshare and learn how he helped the U.S. Marines reach their target audience. Again, feel free to type any questions you may have for Dave throughout the session. And then after that, we'll provide you with an overview of the YouTube audience and then some various targeting strategies to help you reach your particular target audience. So let's go ahead and kick it off with a Q&A session with Dave, learning a little bit more about the Marines. So Dave, again, I can't thank you enough for participating in today's Advertiser Spotlight session. Can you tell us and set the framework or the groundwork for us and tell us a little bit about the Marines, who they are as a brand, what values they have, and ultimately, what were you guys trying to achieve with this campaign?
Sure. So, I think most people out there are probably aware of the Marine Corps as, one of America's armed forces. We are the elite warriors, and America's fighting first, the first to fight, the last to leave. And like I said at the beginning, Mindshare is tasked with reaching those prospect-aged youth, which are 17 to 24 for enlisted. That's our target, and 17 to 29 for officers. To tell them and teach them a little bit more about the values of the Marine Corps and about what it takes to become a Marine. You mentioned what those values are. The three core values of the Marine Corps are honor, courage, and commitment. We aren't the easy way out. If you're looking for somewhere to go after college or after high school and can't find a job, the Marine Corps is not necessarily looking for you. We're looking for those that are really looking for the challenge and that title, U.S. Marine. In terms of our brand story and what we kind of want to tell the consumer, it's also threefold, and that's that the Marine Corps makes Marines, we win our nation's battles, and we develop quality citizens. So that's kind of the story that we tell, and those are the values that the Marine Corps has. And with a millennial audience, a teenage audience primarily, it's very tough to reach them, and because their consumption habits are so fragmented, and that's why we've kind of turned to YouTube and other digital properties to help compensate what we were missing in traditional channels.
So in your effort to reach these millennials, those 17 to 24 or 17 to 29, and you really want to emphasize the values of honor, courage, and commitment. Were there any key insights that you knew about this particular target audience, or anything you knew about their media consumption habits or their behaviors that really helped shape your communication strategy?
Sure. They're on the leading edge of technology, right? Many times millennials are the ones that are really driving the way towards what is next. Sometimes it's impossible to stay ahead of it. And if we knew what the next Google or the next Facebook would be, we'd all be rich. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So, but what we do know is some trends in their consumption habits, and we know that digital obviously is core to who they are and who their being is. We know that they do still watch television, and they watch a lot of it. Everyone still loves that experience on a 50-inch TV, but they are also watching video online as well. So that that was a key insight for us to say, okay, how can we bridge the gap between those teens that are watching television, but also those light viewers of TV that are watching the majority of their video online? How can we reach them, and then how can we quantify that in meaningful terms?
So then, knowing that some of your audience is still heavily on TV, but digital has become, and online video is a major part of their life and a major part of their media habits, how did you guys come up with the approach to balance your online as well as your offline efforts?
Well, we launched the campaign last March, and whenever we're launching a new campaign, we want to have as much high impact as we can, but we knew that wouldn't just be enough on traditional channels. So we did not walk away from the high impact traditional channels of television, especially around that time. It was March Madness, so we aligned our media mix and our media buys around key games or key weeks within that time period. And then on top of that, we worked with YouTube to do some, I think we had a homepage roadblock on March 12th. We also did a number of TrueView and traditional display elements too, that also worked hand in hand with those traditional elements. And then on top of that, we were able to use a study, Nielsen Ad Fusion. So we had a third party come in and measure the quantitative lift that we were able to achieve, especially again against those light television viewers that, for those that were watching TV, we were reaching them, and even for those light viewers of television, we were still able to reach a large percentage of them because the high impact programming that we were around. But then YouTube really, and our other video assets around the web, helped to increase that overall lift and awareness.
So you mentioned that when it comes to the online efforts, you were using other properties as well as YouTube. What was it specific to YouTube that made you guys feel like this was the right platform for you to really get your message out there in an impactful way?
Well, I don't think I need to sit here and say how great YouTube is in terms of size and just the power of YouTube and the power of the Google brand, especially amongst a young audience. So I wouldn't say it's a no-brainer, but we have the rigor to back it up, and anyone who's done a ComScore run or any other kinds of research knows that the audience absolutely is on YouTube. To put that into some context, I know in terms of the video engagements, and I know this is not part of the planning process, but looking regressively and saying, okay, was that the right place to go? The video views that we had on YouTube over a 48-hour period were 130 million impressions, 130 million video views, which is actually more impressions than the Super Bowl in 2013. So yes, the Super Bowl was all of those in 30 seconds. We were able to do that in 48 hours. If you compare the cost, it was pennies on the dollar. We also did a number of TrueView ads. And we had 2 million plus views of the TrueViews, so people weren't skipping the content, which also is a testament to, I'm part of Mindshare, but the creative team at JWT, who we partner with, who've really put together some compelling assets.
And so, you mentioned you guys did a YouTube homepage masthead, as well as a TrueView campaign. And then I believe you guys also did a first watch. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with those YouTube ad formats, we'll definitely be sharing information after this call to provide you with greater detail on how those ad units work. But wanted to get a sense of why you guys felt that particular strategy and that particular ad format really worked for you guys in terms of having this blast campaign with such high impact units, and then having the sustaining campaign with the TrueView highly demo targeted ad units.
Well, I think again, going back to it being a campaign launch, we wanted high impact, and that first watch, to me as a consumer, and a lot of times when we do our planning, we have to understand that to the consumer it's just one experience. It's not. They don't know the difference between TrueView and First Watch, and they just know that they're going to YouTube or whatever website they're going to, and they're going to interact with some brand messaging. And for us, we were fortunate enough to have the resources to afford the First Watch on March 12th. And when we were planning it, it was essentially saying, look, these people are fresh. They're coming to YouTube. They haven't seen any ads. They're not. There's no kind of advertising exhaustion, or they're not getting fed up with the messaging, and we were able to kind of see that message there first. So, when we're launching a new campaign, we want to be targeted, but we also want to reach as many people as we can with this new message as fast as we can, and that's where that came in. Then to overlay that, or to kind of to overlay on that is the TrueView, where we can say, okay, now we've seeded that message out effectively and quickly, but now it's a matter of the quality. So, we want to make sure that those that are viewing the message are the ones that should be viewing it and want to view it, and that is another key insight is that we have to kind of respect the consumer's need and desire to have control, and I think that's really where the TrueView comes in, and doesn't demand that someone watches 15 or 30 or, heaven forbid, 60 seconds of pre-roll.
Great. Earlier you mentioned the fact that you guys also participated in a Nielsen Fusion study. Can you tell me a little bit about the study, how it was set up, and then some of the great successes that you guys saw from the campaign?
Sure. So the study was a Nielsen Ad Fusion study. It reminds me in a lot of ways of the Nielsen OCR and XCR. However, whereas that's a planning and a validation tool, Ad Fusion was much more of a validation tool, and measured the lift of digital video of our television campaign at the time via YouTube. So we looked at the one partner, YouTube, and gave them our television schedules. Then they had a test and a control group of those who saw the ads on YouTube and those that didn't, and then crunched the numbers, as Nielsen does better than most, and provided a wealth of data as to what kind of brand lift we had, what kind of what was the incremental reach, Additionally, not only was it the incremental reach, but it was the incremental reach amongst the different quintile markets of television viewers. So in addition to getting, I think we had, I have it in front of me, 5% incremental reach with our campaign on YouTube, which, by the way, was would have been a lot more expensive on television, because we were getting to that point of diminishing returns in terms of reach, and YouTube kind of gave us a lift right away. But it also gave us, I think it was an 11% reach amongst the lowest quintile television viewer. And as we mentioned earlier, there is a shift in millennial youth habits, and there's more and more lighter television viewers. So to have that 11% lift of the lowest quintile was huge, and it really provided the basis and evidence for us to really take this a step forward and look at video as a whole in a video strategy in 2013 in the second half, as well as 2014, versus having your television, your online video, your mobile video, and your cinema. We're now able to look at everything holistically, in large part to the work that Nielsen and others have done to start measuring everything together.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, because I was hoping that you would share some of the impact that it's had on future campaigns. So it seems as if that you were able to pull some great data points, some great insights and learnings from this Nielsen data that helped impact, or have an impact on how you future plan any campaigns for the Marines moving forward. So, after doing all of this, what were some of the aha moments that you had? Like, what did you learn about YouTube? What did you learn about making plans for the Marines, trying to reach a specific target audience that you didn't necessarily know before?
Well, I think there's a couple. I think, I mentioned the 128 million views of a video in 48 hours. That's not surprising to me, but it's still a wow moment. And to understand that the scale that you guys provide is just it's second to none. So I think that's one. But two, and part of the Nielsen research showed, they really quantified what those light television viewers were doing, and where they were consuming their video, which was online and via mobile. But it also helped us in terms of moving forward beyond just the digital video, but traditional video, of looking at those test and control groups and seeing what programs were they watching in traditional channels. And that was higher impact stuff. That was live sports, or what's typically termed as appointment television. And that has really set the stage for us in 2014 in our video strategy of saying, okay, when we're on traditional channels, let's make sure we buy as much of that appointment television or that live sports as we can, and then let's layer on top of that the digital video, which may be more entertainment focused, or much more varied, where we know we have people's attention in a different screen, but it's still video.
Mm-hmm. I want to move, because we have a live question, so I want to share that with everyone. And by all means, if you guys in the audience have some questions, feel free to ask them in the chat box below the video player on your screen. So the question is, was the buy a broad young male awareness buy, or did you guys use different tactics to reach young men who are further down the funnel? For example, retargeting.
Sure. It was an awareness buy, and again, that first 48 hours for sure was an awareness buy. As we move people down the funnel, or we really, the Marines, nothing is easy for the Marines, right? So we don't have them go down a funnel. They have to walk up the stairs of an enlistment behavior model. But really, this campaign was focused on building awareness and starting to change people's perceptions, possibly, of what the Marine Corps is and what it isn't, and how it's different from the other armed forces. So we do other tactics as they're closer to providing their information or calling a recruiter. But like I said, this was primarily driven for awareness purposes.
awareness purposes. Great. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the person who asked that question. So if there are no other questions, I want to close it out with any words of wisdom, Dave, that you may have to share with your fellow agency partners out there about, really trying to reach this elusive target audience on YouTube, and how what you learned from this that you wanted to share with the group.
Yeah, I would say there's a couple things. One, in terms of working with Google and YouTube, is to have the conversations with whomever your representatives are, because there's a lot of solutions under your corporation that really can answer most people's questions. For example, this started out as a campaign launch awareness buy on YouTube, and it turned into something much bigger by layering in this Nielsen study. And it became a program and not just a tactic. And I think that's something that working with Google is so paramount for us, is that you guys really help us to create programs and not just execute on tactics. So I think people should keep that in mind. And in terms of the audience and how do we reach this elusive audience, it's tricky. It's tricky, and I would what works for us is we spend a lot of time and a lot of money on research, and that is absolutely vital to our success and our competitive advantage. And I think that's absolutely important. But also, I think you have to spend time in the youth shoes, and you have to do whatever it takes. And if that's going to football games, high school football games on a Friday night to see kind of what the kids are doing or how they're acting, I think that's what you have to do. Or if it means just consuming the media that youth are consuming, to really get a sense of what's coming next. And for us, I think we can't expect to be 10 steps ahead of youth consumption habits. But I do think with all of that, with living and breathing the consumer's lifestyle, doing the research that you have to do, and also leveraging your partners and all the research that you guys have done, we are able to stay 1, 2, or 3 steps ahead. And frankly, that's miles when it comes to this audience.
Great. Thanks so much, Dave. Before we go, and before I let you leave, we have one more question that's just come in. So, were you able to measure how many new recruits there were from the result of this campaign?
Again, the campaign's main objectives were awareness. So the metrics that we had for success were the impressions that were delivered and the engagement and time spent with the videos. I think the fact that 2 million plus people saw the whole 30-second true view is a testament to the fact that we are changing some perceptions and getting them closer to signing on the dotted line. I can say though that after this campaign we have been making mission every single month. It's not always easy, but we're able to do it, and we're able to get very, very high quality recruits too. So we don't do any attribution studies for this type of thing, and retargeting is limited because of DoD restrictions. But we are showing success, and not only are we achieving the numbers, but we're also achieving very high quality individuals.
And another question that's come in is basically about mobile versus desktop. Did you look at the performance or the engagement levels or awareness levels based on devices?
There's limited metrics that we can look at in terms of mobile, unfortunately, because of the tracking capabilities there. We do look at the metrics across devices, and what we are finding is that mobile is growing exponentially, and frankly, we have to maintain our mobile infrastructure to keep up with the advancements in the consumption of mobile and mobile video specifically for our audience.
Great, thank you. So in respect of time, Dave, again, I want to thank you for joining us. I know there was another question about any additional research studies or research reports that can help measure online video and TV lift. We will be sending additional information about that after today's session. But again, Dave, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and the success that you were able to have on the YouTube platform with your U.S. Marines client. Thank you. So now we'll spend the next few minutes taking a look at YouTube's audience and the different strategies to reach them. So YouTube now has a global audience of 1 billion unique viewers who are now visiting this entertainment and information destination every month. You could also look at it a different way, that if YouTube were a country, it would be the third largest country in the world. That would be just after China and India. Let's now take a look at how that audience breakdown looks like here in the US. So with 1 billion people visiting YouTube worldwide every month, this video site offers the ability to reach both popular as well as hard-to-reach audiences. When it comes to the US audience, according to MRI data, YouTube has a pretty even split amongst males and females, reaching slightly more males at 53% versus females at 47%. In addition, you can see our extensive reach amongst the key age demos. These numbers are based on an MRI study that compares YouTube users with the general internet audience as well as those viewing TV programs and movies and other online videos. Let's now take a look at some of the other interests of our YouTube audience. There are a variety of affinity groups watching YouTube content. These are people who have been identified as enthusiasts or those very interested in a certain topic based on the content they watch. For example, if I tend to watch a lot of auto vehicles, I would be bucketed as an auto enthusiast, and auto advertisers like GM or Toyota would be able to serve ads to me as I navigate throughout the various channels on YouTube. Here's a sample of just a few of our affinity groups and their reach on YouTube. Let's now switch gears and talk more specifically of how to target this niche audience as well as others on YouTube. So there are two types of targeting strategies on YouTube: content targeting, reaching people based on what they're watching, and audience targeting, reaching people based on who they are. When it comes to content targeting, advertisers can reach their audience based on the varying video categories. As for audience targeting, there are 3 key ways to reach your target audience based on who they are. First is interest category, another option is remarketing, and then last is demographics. Let's now take a deeper look at each of these targeting strategies, starting with content. There's been an incredible growth and diversification of content on YouTube over the past 8 years. We have numerous video categories for just about everyone, ranging from news and politics to sports to travel. These examples are just a small sample of our exhaustive video categories available on YouTube. Advertisers can display their message to viewers by running against a collection of videos that were pre-classified by the uploader. Your clients can also have greater control of where their content runs by selecting specific video categories to run against. Next, we'll focus on audience targeting with interest categories. When it comes to audience targeting, interest categories allows you to reach those whose previous and/or recent actions on YouTube, as well as the Google Display Network, indicate that they are enthusiasts or very interested in a certain topic. We have hundreds of different affinity groups on YouTube covering a wide range of topics from beauty to home and garden to pets and animals, fitness, technology, and even travel enthusiasts. Similar to what we talked about earlier, advertisers can reach users whose actions have been categorized based on their online behavior. For example, if your client is Lonely Planet and they've just released their latest travel guidebook for Hong Kong, they may want to launch their campaign focusing just on travel enthusiasts, enabling you to reach your brand loyalists and help evangelize on your behalf. Or if you're an advertiser with a smaller media budget and want to eliminate as much waste as possible, targeting these audiences may be a more effective way, as you know you're reaching a group of people who've already clearly shown interest based on their previous viewing behavior. Next, we'll focus on remarketing. When looking up information on a new product or service, users may visit your client's website or watch their videos on their YouTube channel to learn more. In most cases, viewers don't convert or take the desired action after seeing this information for the first time. Remarketing on the YouTube allows you to connect with those exact people. With remarketing, you can display your client's message to those who visited your client's brand channel and watch any videos that they may have or even subscribe or unsubscribe to the channel. You can also remarket to those who watch the video ads your client is running across the YouTube site in general. And lastly, you can remarket to people who have either viewed or clicked on your client's YouTube masthead in case they were running that particular ad unit. Remarketing is a great way to re-engage with those who've already been somewhat introduced to what you have to offer and getting them to consider you again. Last, we'll focus on demo targeting. I'm sure you're all familiar with demo targeting. It works on YouTube the same way it works on other media outlets. You can select a specific gender and/or age group that you're trying to reach. There are various ways advertisers have used demo targeting on YouTube. In the first example, Priorian, a European shampoo product, targets both females and males, similar to Head & Shoulders here in the US. They created one campaign in which they developed custom executions targeting both genders independently to drive better performance. In the case of the Marines, we heard from Dave that they ran a combination of YouTube masthead and First Watch, as well as a video campaign specifically targeting males 18 to 24 to create a buzz and build awareness amongst their specific demographic. So that covers the major targeting capabilities on YouTube, reaching people based on what they watch and who they are. Let's take a quick review of what we discussed today. Again, I want to thank you for joining today's session. As a reminder of what we shared, the U.S. Marines was able to drive greater awareness amongst males 18 to 24 by effectively using the full scope of YouTube. And lastly, the multitude of targeting strategies available on YouTube enables brands to reach their audience based on who they are and what they watch. Now we'll open it up for questions, and as a reminder, you can type your questions into the chat box. Say something. So thank you for your questions. Just wanted to thank you again for participating in today's session. We'll have our third and final installment of the YouTube Hangout on Air series focused on generating awareness while driving brand engagement. This session will be October 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. And as a final reminder, we'd love to get your feedback on today's session. Please complete the survey provided to you and let us know what you enjoyed from today's session and what we can do better. Thanks, and hope you all have a great day.